Okay, guys, week 5 in the books. Of course, I think you guys all know where I'm going to start here. Lots of bark from John. Not a whole lot of bite this week, though. It was the blowout of the week. Absolute beatdown. Bend the knee, taking down Big Brown, and it hurts. Let me go give you a quick recap of what happened here. Big Ben Turdlessburger looking absolutely awful, not confident in himself whatsoever. In fact, John's already done the smart thing and cut him into free agency. Roethlisberger looks awful until further notice. I'm going to need a prove-it game from him before I'd snatch him up in any league. Uh, Absolutely atrocious efforts from Mason Crosby missing 2 extra points. Stephon Diggs dropping several passes against the mighty Bears, but I'll get to that in a little bit too. And Detroit, which was just a stupid defensive play against Cam Newton, who went absolutely nuclear the week before. I cut him, so I don't know what you were thinking, but, we'll get to my defensive mistake here in a bit. But really, I got carried this week by Leonard Fournette and Nuke Hopkins, which is kind of going to be a trend the entire season, I think. This game was over when Leonard Fournette busted out that 90-yard run to ice the Steelers. That was incredible. I did not know that guy had wheels like that. Nuke Hopkins is really, the end of game touchdown to end the game was really kind of spiking the ball as far as fantasy goes. One thing I got to get myself on here, though, is what in the holy hell was I thinking starting the Oakland Raiders defense? Oh, man, who does that? Oakland Raiders D has not been good in forever, and they're not playable. I don't care who they're playing against. So no Oakland Raiders D. Bottom line here, John was so certain he was going to win. He talked so much crap, but he gets a firm reminder of who the king really is. Bend the knee, John, and move on to next week. Best of luck to you next week. Follow the Buzzards versus now the aptly named Pocahontas, which is, of course, referring to Reese's love of all things Elizabeth Warren and her supposed Indian heritage. Jason knocking off Reese in this one behind the Melv Gore awakening, 28.3 points, huge effort from Melvin Gordon. Cam Newton looks like he's back, 25.1, back-to-back great weeks for Cam Newton. So, and Justin Tucker finally gets on the board with a double-digit week. Honestly, I think that Justin Tucker is this year's Gostkowski, where you're going to wind up hanging on to him for way too long just because of the name. That offense is horrendous in Baltimore, and it's just not going to provide enough opportunities for him. If there's a fantasy punter to own, I would own the Ravens punter. That's how bad their offense is. You got to be a little worried about Mike Evans, too. Couldn't even get it going against the Patriots. What are you doing? Everybody goes ham against the Patriots. What in the world is going on there? The only positive here for Reese on the flip side of this is Doug Martin. Doug Martin looked good. He didn't look 181 yards and 2 touchdowns good, but he looked good. And, of course, I'm referring to Leonard Fournette, who he traded me for Doug Martin in what was an absolute roasting of a deal. And that brings me to my next point. I foreshadowed I was going to talk about the Bears here in a minute. So, Reese, you deserve to lose this game for starting the Vikings and underestimating my mighty Bears. The Bears are awesome. Mitchell Trubisky is the truth. He's going to be a great quarterback in this league for a long time. And now all of a sudden, the Bears are not an automatic play with your defense. The Bears are going to put some points on the board. I love my Bears. Go Bears. Go Mitch Trubisky. You deserve to lose, Reese. And you deserve to have your team named Pocahontas because you love Elizabeth Warren. So, Pack Attack crushes Cash Me Outside. Crushes, Steve. Really no surprise here. Teams are averaging after this week 116 points a week. I did the math on this a couple times now. I mean, it looks to me like everybody's bringing their A game against Steve. I have personally had 232 points less scored against me in 5 weeks than Steve, somewhere around 40 some odd points a week less on average. Everybody's just piling on and beating down Steve. But, the truth is he's not really scoring that many points anyway. So, I mean, everybody's really kind of running up the score on him like it's they're playing for a BCS bowl bid. Dez Bryant, huge disappointment this week. I know what you're going to be thinking. Oh, he got 11.2. That's a solid effort. This was easily his easiest matchup of the season. Easily. And he put up 52 yards and 1 touchdown. Dez Bryant looks finished. He's just a turd. It's just no good. Bilal Powell looks like he got shook up a little bit, but regardless, comes crashing back down to earth against the Cleveland Browns of all teams. My Lord, you are just having a rough go there, Steve. I couldn't have even predicted that. I mean, what else can I say? I don't want to spend any more time trashing Steve and his horrible team. At this point, it feels like beating up a retard. You can't do it. It's not right, and it might be considered a hate crime. So on to my dad's side, of course, he trades for A.J. Green in what was a very sly move. A.J. Green goes for 22.9 against Steve, and quite frankly, it could have been worse. He dropped a deep ball too. A.J. Green could have put up 30-plus this week. T.Y. Hilton is proving to be amazing even without Andrew Luck. Very impressed with what T.Y. has been able to do. And let's talk about the fact that Jacoby Brissett is not a horrible NFL quarterback. I mean, not bad. Good move by the Colts picking him up. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw the news. They actually, Jerry Jones and Aaron Rodgers got together, and Jerry Jones signed over the deed to Jerry World to Aaron. It's now Aaron World because he owns them. Aaron Rodgers absolutely took the Cowboys to school once again. No shocker there. Aaron Rodgers owns the Cowboys. Ridiculous kick return from Tyreek Hill. His speed is unbelievable. It was on full display, just outran everybody to the corner. Ridiculous. I mean, that guy's incredible. Carlos Hyde, though, I do have to give you this. He's not a bad handcuff for Matt Breida. Not bad, but Matt Breida looks like he might be the guy there. So now moving forward to OJ's revenge, who dominated Arby's rush the ball. Chris Mancusi stepping back up into the winner's circle, beating down poor old Jared, who has long been a punching bag in this league. Chris, I don't know what to tell you about Odell, man. I know you're a huge Giants fan. Andy was on your fantasy team. That sucks, man. There's no other way to put it. I felt for the guy as soon as I saw it. That just sucks. Your heart breaks for the guy going for a big contract. But moving forward onto the fantasy side of things, nice plug and play with Jones there for the Packers. I did not see that coming. Honestly, I thought he was going to be an absolute flop. Phillip Rivers came up big against your Giants, who are definitely a team to exploit moving forward. And now I'm not trying to upset you now, Chris. This is just about fantasy. So fantasy-wise, the 0-5 Giants, who are the most putrid team in football, are definitely a team to exploit. So on to Jared. Without Gronk, Brady looks awfully human. Maybe he needs to stop trying to force the ball to Chris Hogan as if Chris Hogan is Rob Gronkowski. Just a thought, Belichick, if you're watching this, which I know you aren't. Just a thought. I hope Devontae Parker's injury isn't serious. There's been too many injuries this year, and hopefully he's okay. Tyreek Cohen is strictly boom or bust. He's very tough to predict, very game flow dependent, tough to predict what he's going to do from a week-to-week standpoint. Jared and Joe pulled off a trade. Ty Montgomery for Duke Johnson. I don't know, Jared. Trading away Duke Johnson. He's been scoring, double digits every week. I kind of like Duke Johnson. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Jones looked pretty good for the Packers. If Ty Montgomery comes back and he's still the guy, you're in good shape there. So on to the final matchup. We have How About Da beats Cheesehead. So How About Da is Joe And I guess he's doing the other side of the cash me outside thing. I guess him and Steve are now some sort of union. I don't get it. But let's talk about Tony's team first. Mike Gillislee still struggling after a huge week one. Any given week, he can get you 2 or 3 touchdowns. You just don't know when it's going to happen. Jordy Nelson's hurt. Shady looks finished. Still no touchdowns through 5 weeks from Shady McCoy. Jordy's injury probably is not that serious. He might be limited for 1 week, and then he'll be back on the horse again. But even if he's limited, you have to play Jordy Nelson because he just scores so many touchdowns. It's impossible to sit him. Russell Wilson, strictly boom or bust option. Don't know what you're getting out of him every week. Lamar Miller looks shockingly competent, though. He does. So I guess what I'm getting at here is that Cheesehead smells like rotten cheese. Your team stinks. So on to, and by the way, losing to Joe is absolutely disgraceful. You have dishonored your family name, and you need to redeem yourself with a big win next week to redeem the family name. All right, so get it together, get your roster set, and win next week. So on to Joe's side of things. Joe, Alex Smith continuing his crazy hot start. I don't know what to say, man. The guys every week play now. That's all there is to it. Todd Gurley did not continue his hot start, which, of course, I predicted. And he will not continue what he did earlier this season. His schedule is effing brutal. Probably should have looked ahead and maybe seen if you could trade him off for somebody. But, potentially maybe a Jay Ajayi who's going to do pretty well moving forward, I think. So, but you got carried to a win behind an 85-point week thanks to Javaris Allen, Cameron Brate, and Alex Smith. Congratulations, Joe, on the W. I can't even hate on you. You pulled off a pretty good trade, too. You look like you're kind of coming into your own this season. So congratulations. And that's all I got for you guys today. I wish everybody the best of luck for this week, even Steve this week, because, for God's sake, you're 0-5. This is getting embarrassing at this point. So that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow for the matchup previews.